How is Two Kingdom Theology used in opposition to Christian nationalism?
This is a little complicated, a bit complicated. I prefer to talk about radical Two Kingdom, R2K theology, which is associated with the teaching coming out of Westminster West in Escondido, California. Mm-hmm. Okay. And that is radical Two Kingdom theology basically says there's the kingdom of the state and the kingdom of the church. And the kingdom of the state is under the Noahic covenant, and the church, Christ is the head of the church. And so consequently, what the church says to the state about what they can and cannot do is minimal, because they're under their own kingdom. They've got their own kingdom going. Stephen Wolfe, who is a Christian nationalist, is an adherent of Two Kingdom theology, but his version is much closer to what was held in the time of the Reformation. The Reformers held to a Two Kingdom thing, but the one kingdom was not a kingdom, church and state. It was the kingdom being the external world, including the visible church, the visible state, the visible society, and then the interior life of man, the invisible things. So if someone says, I hold to Two Kingdom theology, that could be fine and fully consistent with Christian nationalism if you're talking about the reformational version of it, the Reformation-era version of it. But if you're talking about Escondido, California, that's not consistent with Christian nationalism at all.
All right, very helpful. All right, another objection. We need secularism to keep peace. We need to be secularist to keep peace between differing factions.
Yes, one of the factions, unborn children. Right. Our body count. People are saying we don't want to introduce religion into public affairs because of the 30 Years' War or because of the Spanish Inquisition. The Spanish Inquisition, and I'm not defending this, the Spanish Inquisition was a really bad deal, not defending it. But over the course of the years that it ran, they were responsible for the execution of about 2,000 people. Okay. That's Planned Parenthood on a slow afternoon. Okay. So the thing that just makes me want to stand on my chair and start waving my arms is secularists lecturing Christians about how bloody we are. Look, the 20th century was the bloodbath century of the ages.
Ever. Yeah.
Right? Communists, collectivism, warm collectivism, as Mondami would say, the warmth of collectivism killed 100 million people. 100 million people.
In 100 years.
And I think, so, and you're still yelling at us about the Salem witch trials? Right? Now, and again, the Salem witch trials were that was a bad deal, and there was all kinds of reasons going into it, but it was a grotesque sin and an anomaly, and repented and rejected. But the bloody hands of the socialists is unrepented. All they do is they keep demanding more. So I'm sorry, I'm not going to be lectured on the threat that Christianity poses to the livelihood or the life and blood of the average citizen.
Amen. What about concern that the government would be in charge of the church? Is Christian nationalism saying that? Is that an end we're working toward?
No. There are three basic views or positions with regard to the relationship of the church and the state in a Christian republic. All right. There is the view that the church should be over the state, which would be the traditional Roman Catholic view. The church is over the state. Then there's the view that the state should be over the church, and that's called Erastianism. And some Reformed theologians and political theorists held to Erastianism, where the entire Commonwealth was Christian and the magistrate was over the church. okay, or parliament or whatever. That's Erastianism. And then the third position, the one that I hold, is a Kyperian sphere sovereignty view, which says that the church and the state and the family are three governments ordained directly by God. They are required to cooperate with one another, but they each have their assigned responsibilities, and none of them can boss the other ones around in their area of responsibility. Right. So the family is the ministry of health, education, and welfare. The church is the ministry of grace and peace, or the ministry of word and sacrament. And then the state is the ministry of justice. All right. So the church doesn't get to boss the state around when it comes to, declarations of war or, a national monetary policy, or, the church doesn't dictate to the state, and the state doesn't dictate to the church about when to meet or whether to meet during a pandemic.
When you're not allowed to meet. Yes.
Right.
I think John Frame is Kyperian, and
yes, he is.
I'm a fanboy. I really like all things John Frame. I've really profited from him, and I was delighted to find out. Oh, he's even good on this whole issue. So, yeah, John Frame. Those of you who like John Frame. Here's another one. All right, this might come more from the common man quarters. Is this whole thing, Christian nationalism, about